Well, it was a pretty cold and chilly morning on Saturday, last Saturday, when I got up. But there was a pretty sky. I noticed right away, and I thought, I'm gonna wait a little bit, and I'm gonna look at that for a while and see what happens. And by golly, she turned really pretty. So I went out, set up my tripod on the deck as I did the last few times, and took a few pictures. I used a couple lenses this morning. I used the Nikon 80 to 200 f2.8, and I also used the Tokina 12 to 28 lens, and they both do good jobs, and I was happy with it. And of course, I used the good old D200 from Nikon. Great little camera. I've been enjoying using that. I took a few pictures out there and got cold. Got pretty dang cold again, but it was worth it. So before we go much further, let's run over and we'll look on the computer and I'll show you those pictures, and then I'll come back and talk just a little bit about them. So yeah, let's go over to the computer. Come on, let's. Here is the first scene that I photographed on the morning of October 28th, 2023. This was taken from my deck. We're looking mostly east here, and it's, I don't know, 8:30 or something like that in the morning. We'll figure that out in a minute. So this mountain peak you see back here, this one right here, that's one of my favorite photo subjects. It's called Mount Good. It lies about roughly 60 miles from my house. This little valley right through here, that is where the Knik Glacier lies, roughly in the middle of that. And then on the other side of Mount Good is Prince William Sound, part of the Pacific Ocean. I love this scene. I love the colors in it. I was surprised when I went outside and saw this morning. I set up my camera. I think this is going to be the very first image that I took this morning. And luckily I had my camera set almost right and the horizon is level. So our house sits on a little bluff, and then there's a canyon, and then this home here, and this one here where you see all the cars parked down here. That's on the other side of the canyon from our house. This over here is the shoulder of Pioneer Peak right here. And these are all the Chugach Mountains. This is part of the range called Chugach. So let's see what we got as far as camera specs on this one. So we got, I shot it with the 80 to 200, the Nikon 80 to 200 lens. I shot it at 112 millimeter, which converts to 168 millimeter with a crop sensor. I shot it at 6-second exposure, f7.1, ISO 100 on that one. And I was going to see what time that was. So it was taken this morning at 8:22, which may surprise you, but it's getting to be winter up here, and the days are getting much shorter, and it gets dark early and light late in the mornings. So it's still pretty dark out when I took this picture. And I like this picture. I like the lights there especially, but the colors are nice too. Next, we have this picture here. So when I took the previous picture, I glanced over my left shoulder and saw this. These trees are on my property, but the lights there are at the eastern edge of the city of Wasilla, right there. And the Parks Highway runs, right along in front of these lights here. This is looking roughly north. When you leave Anchorage, you drive on the Glen Highway. You'll drive at the base of these mountains back here, and then you'll turn into Wasilla. But the Glen Highway keeps going on up here, so it'll run at the base of these mountains up here. This is Kings Mountain here. Anyway, the Susitna, the Matanuska River. I'm sorry, this Matanuska River runs also at the base of these mountains, and on the opposite side of the river is the Glen Highway, and it continues on up north, and it goes to Glen Ellen, and then from Glen Ellen you can turn right and go to Valdez. The driving time from Wasilla to Valdez is roughly 6 hours to get there. It's a good drive, and when you get to Glen Ellen, you'll turn right on the Richardson Highway, which takes you over to Prince William Sound and Valdez. I like this picture. I especially like the little points on the lights. That I took this at. Well, let's look at it. I took it once at a smaller aperture, and then I changed this. Let's see what I did here. I went to here we are. So I shot it with the 80 to 200 lens again. I shot it at 80 millimeter, which is 120 millimeter with crop factor figured in. So this is a 20-second exposure at f13 ISO 100. I shot two images here. The first one I shot at a wider aperture. I think it was f8 or something like that, and I was afraid. I thought about it, and I was afraid that these trees in the foreground would not be quite sharp enough. So I closed the aperture down and shot it at f13, and the trees came out pretty good actually at f13. They're a little bit fuzzy, but not bad at all. So yeah, that's another nice picture. And when I was finished with this one, it was getting late. The sun was coming up, so I thought I'm just going to go in and process these two pictures. And I got through processing this picture here, and I happened to glance out the window, and I was very surprised to see more color in the sky. I was surprised because when I went in, the color was kind of fading away. But now, when I looked out the window, there was more color there, so I grabbed my camera and my tripod, and I went back out to the deck, and this is what I saw right here. Now this is looking east again. Over here we have Twin Peaks, we have Pioneer Peak, and like I said, the road from Anchorage, it's the Glen Highway. It runs at the base of these peaks, clear out to there, and then turn left and come into the Wasilla area. This here, now this is Mount Good, like I was showing you on the first picture. So this was taken with a wider angle lens, and like I said, there's quite the view from our deck. So, and I really like these colors. And let's go back. Let's go see what we shot this with here. So we shot this with a D200. I shot it with a Tokina 12 to 28 f4 lens. I shot it at 24 millimeter, which is 36 in the crop, considering the crop factor. Exposure was 1/4 second, f14 ISO 100. And I shot this one at, let's see what we got here. I took this one at 906, and it was starting to get really light then. So it's a nice picture, and this shows more of the canyon across from our house. I'm going to print one of these pictures. I haven't decided which one yet. One of these three will be printed, and so now we're going to go back to the microphone, and we're going to take a look at the print I made for today's video. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little session right there. I'm trying to keep it, I'm trying not to talk as much as I normally do, but that one went a little longer mainly because I had 3 pictures. So that took a little time. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. And yes, I did finally select one to print. That was a hard. So I settled on kind of an in-between one here. So this is what I selected right here, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this picture. But I told you most of the settings on the on the previously here, so it came out nice actually. I've always found pictures on my deck. If I can't find them anywhere else, I find them on my deck. Now, I've got to be truthful with you on this picture. I had to print it twice because the first one, the way you saw it, on the last segment there when I was in the computer, I tried printing it right off of that, and it just came out too dark. You couldn't see the homes and everything in the foreground, and I looked at that and thought, you know what? I'm not happy with that one. Normally, I'll just use the one I print, but I didn't like it this time, so I lightened it up and changed the contrast just a little bit, and I'm much happier with it now. So that's the one I printed, and now if you follow the link down below, there's a link to my Smug Mug pages, and on that link you'll see all 3 of these pictures that I have posted there for you to enjoy looking at your own leisure. And I think I've got it set so you can look at them pretty large too. The D200 did a really good job. I noticed in some of the shadows, the darker areas of a couple of these prints, there was a little noise, but I don't think it doesn't on a 13 by 19 print or a 12 by 18, which is what this one I just showed you, and it's on cold press natural from Epson. I don't even notice the noise in that one, so I think we're good with that. The D200 is surprisingly good when you work with the files for such a 10 megapixel file. You really can do a lot with it on Photoshop or Lightroom. Anyway, there's my picture I printed, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll have more. You take care now, and have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye now.